News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. And there's your closing bell for this Thursday on Wall Street, where traders have been waiting all week for Fed Chair Jay Powell's speech at Jackson Hole tomorrow. That's kept stocks lower. A key factory report also showed the fastest growth in manufacturing since 2022, and that drove treasuries lower. We do bring you the closing numbers each day here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 lost 26 points, NASDAQ lost 73 points, and the Dow is down 153 points. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.33%, the 2-year yield at 3.79%. The Justice Department is pressuring Fed Chair Jay Powell to remove Fed Governor Lisa Cook from the board. Cook is facing a DOJ probe after FHFA Director Bill Pulte accused her of committing mortgage fraud by falsifying bank statements and property records. Bloomberg economist Stuart Paul says removing Cook from the board might not be so easy.
Chairman Powell and the Board of Governors has far more discretion and far more power in their ability to remove Federal Reserve regional bank presidents than they do in removing members of the board.
Cook says she intends to remain at the central bank, stating she will not be bullied to step down. That $464 million civil penalty against President Trump has been tossed by an appeals court. The court ruled that penalty was excessive, but says Trump and his company are still liable for falsifying records to secure favorable mortgage rates. Attorney General Letitia James says the state will appeal. The State Department says it's reviewing the records of more than 55 million foreigners who hold valid U.S. visas for potential revocation or deportable violations of immigration rules. The department says it's looking for indicators of ineligibility, including visa overstays, criminal activity, threats to public safety, or engaging in any form of terrorist activity. If they find anything suspect, they'll revoke the visa and deport the visa holder. President Trump also says he'll join the federal law enforcement officers patrolling the streets of Washington, D.C. tonight. The administration has taken over the district's public safety efforts, Trump saying that murders, carjackings, and robberies have amounted to a national emergency. A Washington Post Schar School poll finds nearly 8 in 10 Washingtonians oppose the takeover. They call this a political stunt. There may be more signs of vulnerability in the labor market. Weekly jobless claims came in higher than expected at 235,000. Bloomberg's Michael McKee has more from Jackson Hole.
It is not as bad as people might have expected. It's certainly above the 225 and maybe a hint that things are turning around. But remember, this is sort of back to school time. So we're going to see some ups and downs in jobless claims.
Bloomberg's Mike McKee reports the continuing claims number, 1.97 million, is the highest since November of 2021. Former St. Louis Fed President James Bullard, who is in line to become the next Fed chair, is calling for a full percentage point of interest rate cuts this year.
Rates are a little bit high right now, and I think we can get down about 100 basis points going into 2026.
Bullard spoke to Fox Business. Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic says he still sees just one interest rate cut as appropriate for this year, describing the labor market trajectory as potentially troubling and bears watching. Cleveland Fed President Beth Hammack says if the Fed meeting were tomorrow, she would not support a rate cut, telling Yahoo Finance inflation is still too high and trending upwards. The U.S. and European Union took the next steps to formalize their trade pact, detailing plans that could reduce tariffs on European automobiles within weeks while opening the door to new potential discounts for steel and aluminum. President Trump's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, says this trade deal is a big one.
I can think of no deal more important than with the European Union. This is like a really important mountain to climb, and we climb that.
Trump trade advisor Peter Navarro. Bloomberg's Enda Curran says we are now getting details on that agreement.
So you're going to have that 15% US tariff on goods coming in from Europe, but there's going to be concessions on sectors. So like European cars, for example, European semiconductors, European pharmaceuticals, they will be paying a reduced tariff than they otherwise would have.
Hear more from Enda Curran on the Bloomberg Intelligence podcast. The National Hurricane Center has a warning for beachgoers along the East Coast. Do not go swimming in the ocean this weekend. Hurricane Erin is triggering dangerous beach conditions, including rip currents all along the East Coast from the Carolinas through Maine. The storm is not expected to make landfall in the U.S. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. This is Bloomberg.